user's guide. Who's the user? The Trump administration and Trump himself. Here are the lists of tools that you can use to restructure the entire global hegemony. So, here's the tool set. Let's see. I think it's a very powerful hypnosis.
Yeah, the markets, crashed in the morning, then they recovered by the end of the day, but
all because of a tweet.
Oh, what was it Trump's tweet where he said it's stop being a little pussy?
There was we're going to do a 3-month pause on any of the tariffs until we can figure everything out. But it was just a fake tweet that someone made up. So that pushed the market straight up, 2.1% gain this day.
Yeah, it happened at 10 a.m. There was a headline on Twitter. Let me tell you, I was looking at the SPY when this happened. And it was 528 calls. I was 10 minutes away from purchasing 30 contracts at 22 cents. Fast forward 20 minutes later, those same contracts were trading at $7 a contract. Fuck, that would have been $25,000. And I'm what the fuck just happened? Then the whole day, the contracts were just fucking expensive.
Dude, Martel, the capitalism complex industrial machine is ever so accelerating into the now, building new narratives, new stories, for more money to be printed. So I've been hearing some sort of narrative development being cooked up where they're saying that China is going to go with physical assets as the reserve currency. Gold is gold. And that America is going to go towards Bitcoin. But I don't know. It's just pure speculation. Because when it comes down to it, resources are not infinite. But if you have a distributed ledger that's open source for anyone to see any of the transactions that are occurring, that's finite, right? That makes more it's a harder form of whatever reserve currency that you're going for, rather than something with raw materials. You can always go asteroid mining. America is looking for the stars. They're looking for space dominance. But that's just the narrative crafting.
But we're retarded. I mean, space as a domain, with technology, I'm telling you, just the pistol and the Constitution is the technology we need. Everything else is a scam or massive hypnosis construct to get us to continue.
So you don't believe about anything about the rockets that send people to the International Space Station and the whole situation with those cosmonauts, astronauts?
Yeah, that's great news, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying there's not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe, but the whole concept of us working to pay for rockets to go to Mars so we can create YouTube videos seems a little fucking stupid to me. And the whole thing is just about creating videos. Literally. Pictures and videos.
It's about creating content.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the content, it's the content sort of global machine system that we're in now. So we want extreme content. So let's send some motherfuckers up to Mars and produce some great content. How about that?
Yeah, but isn't that what they did when they flew the lunar rover up there a couple times and drove it around on the moon, which most likely didn't happen?
Yeah, but there's no sense of the human will. You need a sense of the human presence.
Dude, I'm telling you, philosophically.
Imagine a reality TV series, the movie stars that could occur every 6 months. You go over there.
I'm telling you, it's not out in outer space. It's inside of us. What we're doing is... Yeah, you can say come on, but I mean, have fun. The point is, it is inside of us. I mean, we have everything we need. Do you have any idea how complicated we are structurally, biologically? Or The mystery is not on Mars. The mystery is within us. It's Earth itself. I mean, I'm telling you, our communication
it's
is
not good to have all of the consciousness in one basket. You need to expand consciousness.
most likely. I mean, the fact is, we don't need to go to Mars because we can already go there.
Okay, what happens if there's an asteroid or like there's a nuclear? I know like there's not a speck out of dust, but it's better to have a lot of baskets. The probability, it's game theory, obviously.
I mean, if we were more concerned about America's security at the, in terms of like our population and taking care of our assets and our people, I don't know. There's just no easy solutions. And, that's why I say there's just not a speck of dust out of place in the whole universe. Like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I mean, I'm just saying it's like, let's not lie to ourselves and be deluded. We've been doing it for so long. And now we're $40 trillion in debt. I mean, when JFK took us to the moon or whatever, or Nixon took us to the moon, and we had no national debt and we had actual surplus, and each American on average was worth, X amount of dollars versus being negative. I'm just saying that it's all smoke and mirrors and communication hypnosis. So what we have is a problem with communication. We have a failure to communicate. We don't have technological problems. We have no problems. Communication is the problem, which is really dealing with misinformation and fake content, which is really what's wasting everybody's lives. This app is a perfect microcosm of the macroverse problem.
So if you want to hear a little hypnosis from this Harvard about like a user's guide about trade tariffs and how to restructure the global economy.
Yeah. Hey, Zenamini, I'm still marinating on what you just said about China and the U.S., about China, the narrative.
Yeah, the narrative construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about sort of creating illicit emotions into people. The market is emotion-based. So if you can predict the sort of stories that are going to occur, then you can sort of make money off the market, I guess. I've never done it, but it's narrative creation. It's what do you think? It's a theory of mind, right? Like the mind of everyone. What do you think the mind of like this population, the psychometric profile of this population in this country, will respond to this narrative that's being created?
You're absolutely right, because when I do my fundamental analysis, part of like when I do a technical breakdown, I think how would I think if I was in a position where I'm trading enough to move the markets, or how do I think institutions are going to move their assets? So yeah, I mean, definitely. It's going to be the next biggest narrative for like right now. We're in the second quarter, right? What are the biggest hot topics? What's the monetary policy going to look like? So I like what you said. Yeah, that's pretty much how I think as well.
I've been hearing the end of 2026, beginning of 2027, maybe even earlier, maybe the end of 2025, they're going to be really automating androids and automating a lot of processes. Maybe 70% of all white-collar jobs will just be automated. So those are some of the it's pretty crazy trends if you really think about it.
Kind of depressing to think about.
I mean, if you think about the robots that are supposedly going to take our jobs, it's like, okay, well, those parts come from China. They're assembled here or they're assembled somewhere else.
And that's why you need the tariffs. And that's what this essay is about. It explains it's like a user guide for Mr. Trump and his administration to deploy all the sort of tools. This was written in November 2024. So
But what's your extract? What's your compression?
So this is just like a tool set that the Trump administration, and sort of like a, not really policy recommendation, just sort of like here are the tools that the Trump administration can use to test their theories and then enact and execute policies based on what they want. Like they want greater manufacturing in America, for bacterial resistant drugs. You don't want your supply chains to be owned by your enemy, right? Like that'd be disgusting. Like really, really gross. So like nearshore manufacturing, onshore manufacturing, reshoring, like you need people to like kind of oversee like what those automated robots are doing. But
think about the realization, born sooner or later,
that's like
of agonizing experience that its whole relation.
It's a user guide for the
Experience
incoming administration and the sort of tools that they will use. And if you guys want some more good hypnosis, here's some good informational hypnosis that was posted today, almost an hour ago. China has begun to devalue. Moves are still small, but this is clearly a signal to Washington. After all, the dollar has been falling. So if anything, the yuan should be rising against the dollar to remain stable in traded weighted terms. But it's falling, and that's a signal.
The yuan is falling, or the dollar?
The yuan.
The yuan, yeah.
Crazy.
This is what Trump tweeted 12 hours ago. Oil prices are down, interest rates are down, slow moving Fed should cut rates, food prices are down, there is no inflation, and the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions a week from abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, plus not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again.
Yeah, the dollar's been pretty resilient. I have my eye on the dollar index, and oil's broke briefly under 60. I think it was trading around 59.58. Gold a little bit below 3,000. It's been doing crazy swings though. It's been going from like 29.98 to 30.30 to back down. And then Bitcoin Asia session on Sunday dropped about $6,000 from 83 to about 77. Today was insane though. 10 a.m. So the S&P opened at 485, right? Typically I don't trade Mondays, but I'm like, okay, if we open at 485, I want to pick up some calls, right? I'll fill the gap. Like we'll do a retest at like 505. I considered it, but I typically don't trade Mondays, right? Just because I like to get a sentiment gauge of what's going to happen throughout the week. 10 a.m. Contracts of the SPY was trading 528 calls, 0-day expirations were trading at 22 cents. Literally 30 minutes later, they were trading at $7. Then an hour later, all contracts were trading anywhere between like $3-4 all the way up to $7, and I'm like, man,
Whoa.
the volatility in the market just made the contracts just super expensive. And then say you want to get into like any indexes, they were trading at like $90 a contract. I don't know. I was just like, I can't risk that much money on a Monday, just because like we haven't even hit CPI, and the CPI numbers come out Thursday. So I'm just like, I might as well just wait till like Thursday to catch a good trade or something. But
So, did you hear this analysis? The yuan's value is managed by the People's Bank of China, called PBOC, under a managed float system, where it's allowed to fluctuate within a controlled band, often pegged loosely to a basket of currencies, with the US dollar being a major component. If they're devaluing it, it's because they're concerned about US tariffs and trying to lower export costs relative to the USD. Trump is over target. Now the poker game begins. Yeah, this is crazy stuff.
it is. It's insane. And then I think the Nikkei, they turn their circuit breakers on. And I think they're not going to do some trades until Friday. But do some research on that. But that's crazy.
A whole week.
It's gotten into me recently.
Yeah.
Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, pork, dog, chicken, turkeys, rat, you name it. I really don't know what's gotten into me recently.
I don't trade Asian equities or anything like that, but I was talking to a trader last night. He says the Nikkei, they cut their circuit breakers, and like
give you in Massachusetts.
The market drops to a certain percentage.
Besides being near a Dunkin' Donuts,
right? They halt trading, just like they do in like certain pumps, right? The GameStop, I think Newsmax.
which places me somewhere in Massachusetts.
I didn't get into the IPO, but like certain like overextension, they hit circuit breakers and they halt trading, and they did that with the Nikkei, and they're not going to resume trade till Friday, I believe.
Yeah, your sense-making capability, your sense-making organs are done for if you're not able to sort of track real-time market predictions. Yeah, it's, wow, until Friday.
Yeah, there's some articles out right now. Circuit breaker triggered in Japan for stock futures trading. Japan, the Nikkei 225. Futures suspended due to circuit breaker. Japan and Taiwan markets hit the circuit breaker as Trump tariff deepens panic. The most that I know right now, they're not going to resume trade until Friday.
This was just an hour ago. China says it will fight to the end after President Trump threatened an additional 50% tariff.
appeared, despite...
And it is insane. Like, if you see the markets last night, the Nikkei hit 6%.
Life moves pretty fast.
A
You
little
don't
bit
stop
2
and look
hours.
around once in a while.
Like straight down. Yeah.
I came across this bit of information that said that the stock market in the last 5 hours went up and down in value the entire worth of the stock market when it was in the 1980s. Like, it's just so crazy to think about. Like, it's so detached from the real world, I think. So financialized.
Yeah, but the stock market and what it's doing is not anything new. I mean, people, I'm 42. I've been looking at the market since 1999, 26 years, and like what we're witnessing is not unexpected, and it's exactly what happens. So we're just living in hyper polarized emotional distribution, meaning that the propaganda and the memes, the feelings, like it's so powerful now in the mind's eye for everyone, that even if you're not even invested, you're concerned about it. It's like it's all communication. I'm telling you, it is what it is. People who didn't get out or deleverage. I mean, it's you know, they're the sucker. Like that's what this market does to people. That's what markets do. I mean, it pulls in the suckers and pulls the rug on them, and they're like, oh
Dave
fuck.
Portnoy, he lost I think 15 to 20% of his profile, his stock profile, gone. 10, 15 to 25%.
Portfolio.
In an hour. Dave Portnoy, you know who he is?
Yeah.
Bristol Media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the CEO. What's his name? Portnoy.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
He does like the cheap pizza ratings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe people consume their gambling content. So trash. Never suck me in. Gambling is for suckers. Losing your money for what?
I mean, gamblers, like I've gambled in the market, and I've, you know, have had like insane
And
days.
you've met Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, he's a real gambler. Like investing in the market is a little less. Yeah, it's different than because you're dealing with information and data as opposed to like bluffers and statistics. I mean, in my opinion, you can develop a greater intuition.
Get your money out as well. There's always that like, hey, you know, I'm gonna sell, not make any money, not lose any money, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy real estate, and it can take you a year to 3 years to get out of your property. But with the market, it takes literally 1 second. It's nothing
Yeah,
like
I
it.
consider it more of a risk, right? I don't consider it gambling because it's not like sports betting. Like, I really hate sports betting just because I feel like it's a zero sum, right? If the team you bet on loses, you lose everything. But at least in trading, you can set a risk, right? And really, it comes down to probability. It's something you shouldn't do if you're not like well informed, right? It's about knowing what's going on around you. And like you said, like we agreed on, like, right, like being able to brainstorm or at least get an idea of geopolitics, the narratives, things like that. It's not like if you go blindly in the markets, yeah, that's gambling. But I mean, if you know what you're doing, I mean, it's not really gambling.
It's still gambling in the sense that a lot of people are not traders and they just leave their money with their financial advisor or in their brokerage account and never touch it. And they go, oh, on average, over 20 years, I'm going to get 5%, 6%. So even if there's this big downturn, that's like lazy people who want to fully automate their lives and not, set it and forget it. And that's not a good strategy for, really cultivating and winning. So that's the thing. It's like,
Doge.
you should have sold a month ago.
Doge, do you mind if I read the first 2 paragraphs of this essay? It's sort of like an introduction. It's pretty good. It's really good knowledge.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So this is the introduction. A user's guide to restructuring the global trading system. America's opinion of how well the international trade and financial system serve them has deteriorated substantially over the last decade. Among voters, if not among economists, the consensus underpinning the international trading system has frayed, and both major parties have taken policies that aim at boosting America's position within it. With President Trump, so this was written in November 2024, so winning re-election with a strong Democratic mandate, over like 1.9 million people voted for Trump, which is kind of crazy to think about. Kind of crazy, especially with the whole sort of like media consensus reality tunnel that they were trying to build. People were really breaking free from that.
Expressing that through disingenuous argumentation.
It is reasonable to expect the Trump administration to undertake a substantial overhaul of the international trade and financial systems. This essay surveys some tools available for doing so. In contrast to much Wall Street and academic discourse, There are powerful tools that can be used by an administration for affecting the terms of trade, currency values, and the structure of international economic relations. During his campaign, President Trump proposed to raise tariffs to 60% on China and 10% or higher on the rest of the world. And intertwined. So this is what really jumped out at me. This is what I really focused my attention on. Intertwined national security with international trade. Many argue that tariffs are highly inflationary and can cause significant economic and market volatility, but that needs not to be the case. Indeed, 2018-2019 tariffs, a material increase in effective rates, passed with little discernible macroeconomic consequence. The dollar rose by almost the same amount as the effective tariff rate, nullifying much of the macroeconomic impact, but resulting in significant revenue. Because Chinese consumers' purchasing power declined with their weakening currency, China effectively paid for the tariff revenue. Having just seen the major escalation in tariff rates, that experience should inform analysis of future trade conflicts. President Trump has also discussed adopting substantial changes to dollar policy. Yeah, it's really good. It's a good essay. Probably tomorrow I'm going to be reading it, but really good stuff.
And delicious. Have they told you the drill? The drill is, in a few hours I'll come down here and here is a economist and
sort of
keep it going
down to
with IVs and tourniquets until the very last.
Come on up on stage.
Some things are just saved for last. Once you're dead, I'll prepare your loins and ribs. Meat's very... aged not only for tenderness but mainly for flavor. And flavors change. Every day, I'll feed Mason.
I really wonder what are some of the
Don't you worry, Dr. Lane.
That's like
You will always be cooked to perfection.
he's been described at the
It's very important to Mason and I have straight interviews. Mason has
I've also been
beautiful
hearing that a lot of these countries have been going through back channels towards the Democrats saying, hey,
You didn't just say goodbye, though.
that if we change these tariffs,
What was that you said? You never have turned yourself
you know, there's like a certain law against that.
That is
It
the
was
way. I believe that's what they call a
member
market drop. You drop
of
the
the
market,
Congress.
you
You're not allowed
and then
to,
you come back and pick it up again. I need you.
I think, do sort of state foreign policy. That's only up to the executive branch, not Congress. Congress is supposed to be here in America, but I've been hearing there's a lot of back channels from all these other countries saying, hey, and so a lot of these people should be thrown into jail, sent to court. And I don't know, maybe send them to El Salvador would be a little bit cheaper.
I thought you said Hannibal is who you need to change. I mean, what? How would I manage that? Hannibal would be the best bait. Why in God's name would anyone want to meet Hannibal Lecter? Kill him, Jack. Ding dong. The dragon's dead. Congratulations, in order. I didn't kill him. Suicide. I was rooting for you, Will. Came all this way and you didn't get to kill anybody. Put out your hand. Feel this. Don't grab it. Feel it. It's a shotgun. You know it, okay?
Please don't hurt me now.
It's a wonderful. I can't stand to watch you burn.
He shot himself in the face. I put my hand in it. He set fire to the house. He shot himself. Before.
In the end, he couldn't kill you, and he couldn't watch you die. People who study this kind of thing say that he was trying to stop because you helped him.
I drew a freak.
You didn't draw a freak. You drew a man with a freak on his back. There is nothing wrong with you. Put out your hand.
I didn't come just to help us.
I'm gonna tell you something. Two groups of people who choose the place they will work.
Hey, John, any other pieces of information that's happened today?
What?
Any other pieces of information or like wisdom that you would think is like pretty cool to share? What?
I was reading Aleister Crowley's Little True. It's a book called Little Essays Toward Truth. It's a very interesting book. It's like, you listen to all these I listen to a lot of like God talk and religious debates on here, and yeah, you read this little book on truth, and you're just like, damn, this guy was fucking smart. It's very smart. And
Do you think it's sort of like the limbo position of the books that he wrote? Like there's that book, the Book of the Law, and then there was also the Book of Lies. So this would be sort of sort of a correspondence towards this being limbo in Catholicism. This book.
Limbo?
Yeah, because there's the Book of the Law, which I think would be like heaven, right? Limbo would be this book, the truth that points you to the greater truth, right? That's the name of this book.
Little Essays Towards Truth. It's all about Thelema, which is his metaphysic, and it's all.
Do you know what theosophy is?
Yeah.
What is theosophy?
It's philosophy.
Is it?
What do you think it is?
I thought there was a more, I don't know, I think there was a more like subtle term to it.
All of this shit is philosophy. Theology, metaphysics, epistemology, religion, dogmatism. I mean, philo or philosophy is the love of, I think, wisdom or the love of wonder, something to that extent. Anyways, I'm just pointing out that it's an interesting book and it's very smart. And a lot of people on this app have never read it. I'm kind of talking about Christians or Jews, I guess, in the sense that Jews are unaware that British Freemasonry is essentially Kabbalistic. I mean, I think you were reading Albert Pike's, Morals and Dogma, but it's just mystery religion and esoteric philosophy or occult science, occult wisdom. It's a very interesting topic because everybody's technically like interested in it, but they're not quite there. They're not talking about it on this app. Nobody's really talking about occult philosophy or science, and they don't want to go any further than where they're at because they view it as being negative, where they are engaged in the positive. But the truth is, like, how can you deny books? I mean, if it's from 1900 or 1920 or 30 or 40, it's like, okay, those are external hard drives you haven't uploaded to your computer yet. So how can you have an opinion on a program or a software that you have not installed nor played with? It's like, that was my thoughts. Welcome, CI.
Don't know how to talk. Oh, sorry. I've not been on Clubhouse in like 2 years, but I'm like, we definitely used to call. Well, I had a house. Me and a few of my friends had houses, so where that's all we talked about was esoterics and occult sciences. So I was like, yes, we do talk about, but I don't see. I've been scrolling. I'm like, okay, well, if somebody's talking about trading, or at least, something in my wheelhouse, I'm inclined to listen or, have a discourse. But I didn't hear the name of the book. I had something in my background that you had mentioned.
It's called Little Essays Towards Truth by Aleister Crowley. It's probably on YouTube. I can get you a link if you want to hear it.
I'm over here like, this is the one Aleister Crowley book that I hadn't heard of.
Would you mind, reading a chapter for us?
I'm kind of tapped out right now. It's 10:46 and, I'm burned, so I'm going to pass. But tomorrow morning, I probably will.
Do you mind if I read a book?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's called The Fall of Spirituality, the corruption of tradition in the modern world. What do you think about that title? What's like your analysis? One second, I downloaded this PDF, but it went into my files. Okay, there we go. Sweet. I'm opening it in Adobe Acrobat Reader. Good. All right. Do you guys like reading the preface, or do you just like jumping straight in? I just love jumping straight in. Sometimes the preface, but most of the times I just like to go straight into the juice.
All right.
Yeah, it just depends. Because sometimes you read the preface and you're like, oh damn, I'm glad I read this.
Okay, sweet, found it. The development. The question of how one might distinguish authentic schools of wisdom, those with real access to transcendent forces, from the schools that are merely pseudo-organizations, has always been a highly contentious topic among esotericists. So that's sort of like the introduction. And let's just go to the juice. This is all still a preface.
Senorita is probably starving. She's your weapons.
Okay. Wow, this is super long. This is crazy. Keeps on going. Really long preface. That's a preface still. Oh my goodness.
We fed it. Moving on away.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Maybe a fucking dumbbell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd eat
All right.
good, sir. Knights never wish to kill them. It's precisely why I make a great Lord Janina man's vassal state. A great knight must lead by
The
example.
supernatural in the modern world.
Dear.
It is
I'm afraid I must
a
take my leave.
propitious moment for the equivocal enterprises of all the false mysticisms which mingle materialistic sensuality with spiritualistic confusions. For the spiritual forces are invading everything. It can no longer be said that the modern world is lacking in the supernatural. All sorts and varieties of it can be seen appearing, and the great evil today is no longer materialism and scientism.
Niven, do you have a
It is an unbridled spirituality.
She's fine.
The true supernatural
The
is
reason
the
she's called.
more recognized.
I'm very glad of a
Quotation marks
even if it's just a
mystery
shy wee thing.
envelops everything. It
Didn't you
is
say
installed
you
in the
cursed her
somber
alone?
regions of the
Didn't
ego
you
and
say
it
cats were afraid of
ravages.
witches?
At the center of reason, it drives away from its domain. Everybody is ready to reintroduce it everywhere, except in the divine order in which it really resides.
Farina,
Thus wrote the Catholic Henry Massis, an uneven and by now somewhat dated work. But these are the words that still carry weight today. Even today, many and thriving are the groups, sects, and movements that devote themselves to the occult and to the supernatural. Such currents, enlivened by every new sharpening of the crisis of the Western world, gather adherents in substantial numbers. Spiritism alone count millions of them. Exotic doctrines of every kind are imported, and the more these display characteristics of strangeness and mystery, the more they exert a fascination.
There's enough to be
It
like
might
this,
be
Kimber.
said that every
Too late for all that.
concoction finds its place in the vessel of spiritualism. Adaptations of yoga, varieties of spurious mysticism, quotation marks of occultism, at the margins of Masonic lodges, Neo-Rousseau Pushinism, naturalistic and primitivistic regressions of the fundamentally pantheistic kind, neo-Gnosticism, astrological evolution, parapsychology, mediumism, and such like, not to speak of the aspects of pure mystification in all of this. In general, it is enough that something deviates from what one is conventionally called normal. It is enough that it presents the characteristics of the exceptional, the occult, the mystical, and the irrational. For a substantial number of our contemporaries to become interested in it with much greater ease than ever before. Finally, even science got involved in some of its branches of psychoanalysis and deep psychology. It is often wound up with promiscuous evocations at the border regions of the I and the conscious personality. A paradox has, moreover, become apparent in all of this. It is precisely certain representatives of the positivistic individuals, who in order to justify and organize themselves, gave themselves over to a systematic denial of any vision of the world containing supersensitive elements. Precisely these people in a separate sector indulge in primitive forms of neo-spiritualism, and so the reputation that they have acquired for seriousness in the fields of competency is taken as a validation of these forms and transmutes into a dangerous instrument of seduction and propaganda.
This man is not
A typical case is that of the physicists William Crookes and Oliver Lodge with respect to spiritism, and thus broad segments of the Western world are exhaling a spiritual chaos that makes them strangely alike to the Asiaticized world of the Hellenistic decadence. Nor are we lacking in our own messiahs in various versions and forms. First of all, it is necessary to orient ourselves and see what the principal causes of this phenomenon are. As its most conspicuous traits, one might point out a general impulse towards evasion. In one of its aspects, the role of neo-spiritualism, doubtless analogous to everything, which is the man of today attempts to employ in his evasion of the surrounding world, of the suffocating forms assumed by the civilization and culture of the modern West. And among this path becomes in extreme cases, even to the use of drugs to anarchist bodies, the pandemic of sex, or to diffuse varied forms of neurotic overcompensation. At the same time, there are motivations here that one must recognize as partially legitimate. It is not by accident that the beginnings of neo-spiritualism are contemporaneous with the affirmation of the materialist positivist vision of man and of the world, in its squalor and its soullessness, as well as rationalism. The pretense that abstract reason might banish or regulate everything that belongs to the deepest strata of being or psyche. At the same time, we must indicate that there are forms of traditional civilization and superior sense, capable of effective openings towards the heights. We're speaking above all of the religion that has come to predominate in the West, Christianity, and the fact that itself has ceased to appear as something living and ceased to offer points of reference for true transcendence, and has reduced itself, rather, Catholicism to confessional devotionalism and petite bourgeoisie moralism, so much so that one has come to speak of the death of God, to formulate the need for a demonetization. I don't know, it's like basically taking the myth out of religion.
And the registered bookkeepers on the
Which
track?
would reduce religious content to social practice, as for example, so-called atheistic Christianity. But suppose that positive religion has failed in its higher function, supposing it has offered little to those who sought, more than a faith in a moralistic bourgeoisie and social domestication of the human animal, albeit deliberate spiritual experience. Supposing all this, still it is clear that nothing apart from intolerance or rebellion can come from the subversive maxims of the latest ideologies, according to which the beginning and the end of men are to be found on this earth. And the goal is a society of production of mass well-being, a society destined, moreover, to become insipid and boring, and to be paid for with multiple conditionings and mutilations of the personality. Barring the effects of fundamentally degrading processes, there subsists in the depths of the human nature the need for something else, and at the limit something supernatural. In every human being, this can be suppressed only up to a certain state. In the most recent times, the vice grip is closed by the weight of the factors we've just mentioned. Thus, there arises in many an impulse which faithfully seeks its fulfillment, and its outlet in everything that neo-spiritualism claims to offer, to a certain degree. And in the ideas which seem to grant access to a vaster reality, not only theoretically, but above all as a lived spiritual experience. In the most recent times, one has come to recognize, albeit sporadically, the extra-normal as the manifestation of energies, laws, and possibilities beyond those admitted in the late positivistic period. And this fact constitutes another factor of the particular orientation of the impulse towards imitation, which we intend here to deal with. A final, not irrelevant factor in all of this is the awareness, no longer constrained to a specialized superior culture of doctrines of predominantly Oriental origin, which promise more than positive Western religions, especially in their most recent drained and enfeebled forms, have been able to offer. This, in short, is the situational conjunction that underlies the fusion of neo-spiritualism. This neo-spiritualism, as we have noted elsewhere, generally displays the characteristics of what Oswald Spengler has called the second religiosity, which manifests itself not as the center of an organic, qualitative, and spiritual civilization, its luminous original period, but rather at the margins of the twilight civilization and disillusion. Specifically, it appears as a phenomenon that is peculiar to a spectrum of decline of the West. In light of this, it is necessary to establish fundamental points of reference, which permit a discriminating stance in confronting the variety of neo-spiritualism and any other similar current. In this connection, we must underline that we are above all interested in the part of the spiritualism that does not reduce itself to theories, but which often, without knowing or willing, it includes tendencies favoring the conjuring of forces from the other side, bringing individuals and groups into contact with the cultivation of extra-normal modalities of consciousness.
My conscience, with the best of me, she looks good on the outside. But she has the clap. Yeah, syphilis.
You're a fucking bastard offering me like that. But then you change your mind. Why did you change your mind, Thomas?
Why would you buy a plastic piece of
What in the name of blooming Marge is that?
I want in. Coming with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You weren't invited. Why here?
He says you wanted men called Shelby.
So what's your compression of that?
Why did Namor not do anything after the blip? Make sure to like and subscribe. The blip cost half of the universe to get dusted. That means a good amount of Namor's people had to have been included in that. And it doesn't seem likely that he was dusted. So in the 5 years after his people vanished, why did Namor not come to the surface to find out what happened to them? I need you. So in the 5 years after his people vanished, why did Namor not come to the surface to find out what happened to them? I need you to comment on this because I'm curious. Why did Namor not do anything?
How does that feel to know that we love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead.
In my culture, death is not the end. It's more of a stepping off point.
How does that feel to know?
Someone said if you play this sound, your soulmate will take.
Guess this song.
Yes, no, you got it wrong. You even misunderstood what Abdurrahman said, by the way.
Let me French.
Look, if you look at the
Take
development,
dojo. Like at the bottom is Rick Ford.
if you look at the development.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we all used to him in these rooms, man. So we don't really take none of that shit. He gonna be friends with, try to be friends with Peso. Like, give it a couple of days.
I never thought absolute
better candidate. It's like dimensionality, as in like the geometrical nature of reality.
Both within ourselves and in our relationship with the state. We need to be mindful of both our individual freedoms and the potential for those freedoms to be misused.
So I think that anyone who can continue, the mysticism and the philosophy and the education of people like, Plato or I don't know, Muhammad, Ja'far. I'm not putting them all in the same rank, but I'm saying that at the very least we have to treat them relatively within the same category, where people like Socrates and Plato, they actually believed in progress. There was hardly any progress for 2,000 or 3,000 years before them. But they were actually like, oh, we actually need to progress. We need to be better than our former generations. So I'm always going to support that. And Muhammad was, pardon the pun, he was, very, very, very influential. He was explosive in the peninsula. And he really put a stop to this industrial complex where instead of thinking about why storms form or why earthquakes happen, he began a project which led people to realize there's one unified reality and it's just unfolding, and encouraging critical inquiry, reflecting, pondering around your surroundings, not being worried to ask questions.
Grandma come bring it, cause
lady.
Yeah, I peg you more. I think the not half here. I think a monopics tend to change their mind. That's what you were doing.
Yeah, if anyone has anything else to say against Matthew or Matthew.
Yes, sir. I don't believe he's a munafiq because he's doing tadabbur and tafakkur. But I really don't agree with him because he can't call himself Shia, not even me, because he's accepting the evolution. I apologize. And if you accept the evolution, I don't mind, but don't call yourself Shia because otherwise it will show a different picture to people, which is wrong. According to Shiism, because I've been there, done that. So